Salon owners with ADHD, quick question for you. When was the last time you filled your cup? Put your needs first. Thought so. I'm running a second healthy, wealthy and kind retreat in Bali this August. First one sold out just from word of mouth. So if you know it's time to reset, let me show you how. Tapping into your ADHD is a game changer, and so is filling your cup. Just because you can do it all doesn't mean you should. Stepping aside can reveal a lot. Allows your team to step up. 5 days with a tribe of like-minded people is very powerful. Tap the link below, check it all out. Your future self will thank you. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is about family members in your business. And like everything, it's not a problem till it's a problem. But I think that the simplest way to think about this is get a piece of paper and write on what's great on one hand side, what's great about working with your family, whether it's a husband or wife or a sister or a mum or something like that. And then on the other side, write not so good. It's not so good. Because for everybody it's different. But the common ones that come up are things like, I'll just give you a couple of examples on the good side, is that no matter how outrageous or whatever you've become, that family member will forgive you, because often we do. That they might understand you and get your mood, and you don't have to explain things because there's a whole history. That you might be able to trust them unconditionally when you are not sure that you can, when it comes to a team member that you don't have a family relation with. That you have this way where you can almost think and they can understand you. Like you don't even have to explain it all. I know I can do that with my sisters. I start a sentence and they can finish it. So that's really good. But just know that all of those things can bite you in the ass too. And the not so good might be you got to sook and cry and tell your mother she was mean to me, maybe. And they're not so good that they can predict what you're going to do or say, so they bend the rules for you, and then that appears to be unfair to other people. Like, oh, don't ask her to do that because she won't do it, she'll crack it. So they can sometimes bring the history in, and they're not treating you like a separate individual in a working environment. They still remember when you were a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old girl and you did something mean, so she's not going to do that again. So sometimes that history can come and bite you in the ass, or stop you from treating them like a proper employee. So that could work against you. They expect to get away with shit because they're family. Like they might be 10 minutes late and they go, it's fine. It's my sister. It's fine. So that can be a bit of a problem. So I was reading through the chapter in preparation to do the intro, that'd be the word, intro. The intro for this chapter, and I was thinking, I see the t-shirt there, BB, Burt and Bitter, and sometimes that's how we can be, and our family will put up with that shit. Whereas if they weren't your family member, would you put up with that Burt and Bitter bullshit t-shirt, And I can remember really clearly asking this chap once. I said, now I want you to answer me honestly. So unbeknownst to me, their relationship was in trouble, but I didn't know that at the time. And I said to him, his wife wasn't, I think she was a hairdresser too, actually. Yes, she was, but she did a lot more freelance work than she worked in the salon, and she did a reception type role in the salon. And she worked for one of the television stations. And I said to him, if you weren't sleeping with her, would you put up with that shit? He said, if I'd be happy if I was sleeping with her. He said, I'd be happy to put up with that shit. He said, I'm not sleeping with her and I'm putting up with that shit. I said, why? He goes, I know. And so the point is, sometimes poor behaviour sneaks up on you. And if it's going to sneak up on you with a normal person, it's going to really sneak up with you with a family member, like really. And I do this, Simon and I, in business together, and I let him go when he says, I'm going to be home for that meeting and he's not home. I think, oh, he must be busy. And I just cut him some slack because I love him. And I just think he will be busy, but that's not the point, And so I think we're all guilty of bending the rules for family members. BB could stand for other things. It could stand for ballsy and blunt, which is not a good skill. It could stand for boundaries, bitch. But it could also stand for beautiful because. If you're wearing a T-shirt that says I'm beautiful because ... Why? Why would someone say you're beautiful? And I don't mean in a physical sense. I mean as far as a person to work for, right? So, you can make an acronym out of anything. You can, justify anyone's behavior. But what's really good is when you stop and you listen to the likes of me in this podcast, I want to get you to think about it differently, because if you do the same as what you're doing and expect a different outcome, that's kind of dumb tax, isn't it, really? I think we've all paid dumb tax. But I think you have to answer this question, and this is the thing that sort of annoys me, but I've got over it now. Oh, but my business is different because, and they tell you why. My business is different because all my employees are age 20, or my business is different because we're in an industrial area, or my business is different because I'm in the CBD, or my business is different because it's only a year old, or my business is different because it's 40 years old. Like, insert because, and then just question it. Is it really different, or is it that complicated? Or, people say, oh, it's complicated. And to me, when someone says, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I just think when everyone says it's complicated, I think it's not. I haven't even heard the story, and I think you make it complicated, right? Businesses are made up of the number of clients, the average dollar sale, and how often that client repeats. So I'll give you an example. You can have lots of clients, right? The average dollar sale is 150, but they only repeat every 12 months, 2 years. There's Pootie cleaning the floor if you're on video. Or you can have 150 clients and your average dollar sale is $50 and they repeat once a year, right? Or you don't have many clients, but the average dollar sale is 450 and they all come 3 times a year. Like, it doesn't matter how you slice and dice that, it is always one of them. It's either the number of clients is a problem, right? You don't have enough clients, or the clients you have don't pay you enough, and that's because you're not giving a full and remarkable solution. Or you are giving a full and remarkable solution, you have a lot of clients, but there's a really long time before they come back. So if there's a really long time before they come back, just double the first one, double the number of clients, right? Or raise the average dollar sale. Or if your average dollar sale is low, but they come back more frequently, then it's not a problem. So I challenge you to sit down and do the maths on that, right? Because although we say the family's a problem, or we say, my business is different because of that, it's about getting to the truth, right? And maybe family is your problem, right? But there's a lot of good about working with family members, a lot of good. But the point is, you still, whether you're family or not, you still have to look at those 3 points, because you might have people on your team, lovely people, don't make any money. That's a problem. Or you might have someone on your team and you think, oh my God, she is a nightmare, but she makes you a lot of money. And some people might put up with that. I'm saying you don't have to. You can have lovely people that make you good money, that want to work with you, and your business is a joy. And if you think that's a fairy tale, it's not. But whether you work with your family or not, doesn't really matter, because the principles are still the same. How many clients, what's the average dollar sale, and how often they return. So I'll leave you on that. Go and listen to the chapter, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Chapter 9. When your salon's a family affair. There's an old showbiz adage that you should never work with kids or animals. In the salon, I think it could almost add your family to the list. Just to remind you that working with family can go either way. Careful. There are some tricky bits. Of course, if you're convinced that your wife, your cousin, your brother, or your giddy aunt is the right person for the job, then go right ahead. Carefully. There are some tricky bits. I see some salon staff who'd be marched out the door so fast their head would spin if they weren't related to the owner. Family tend to expect extra privileges and less responsibility. As the salon owner, you tend to be more tolerant of their shortcomings and more likely to give them a second chance, or even a third or a fourth chance. I've heard people describe fellow team members who are related to the owner as having more lives than an alley cat. In case you didn't know, more lives than an alley cat is 9 lives. Still, if someone in your family is a solid operator, is good for your business, and you're confident they'll add value to your team and your clients, welcome them and treasure them. Of course, it's not all bad. Family don't generally run off at the first sign of trouble. They can be more loyal than your average employee. Just remember, lines are easily blurred when it comes to family members, and it could all end in tears. Christmas lunch could be ugly. You need to proceed with caution. You need to put clear boundaries in place. If you happen to live with your co-working family member, at the end of the day, you need to leave work matters at the salon. It will be a challenge. Near impossible, in fact. So, before you ask partner, daughter, or live-in family member after hours work questions, ask yourself, can this wait? If it can't wait, and you'll sleep better, be able to finish the payroll, or it makes you understand that note in the day's takings, then go ahead. Those fall under the fire and blood rule. If there's fire, you might even smell smoke. That's the smoke rule. Or if you get the feeling you'll be needing a Band-Aid anytime soon, the blood rule, it's important. But rather than blurting out, what the hell happened today? X, Y, and Z? While your loved one is sinking into a gin and tonic on the balcony is not on. You need to say, when is a good time? I have a couple of questions I need to ask. You need to respect each other's work-life balance. I'll repeat, each other's. My experience is you are both guilty of that blur. If you have a big idea that needs to be talked through, take it offshore. By offshore, I mean to a place other than your home. Go out for a walk, a coffee or a wine. Home should be where you're happiest, filled with the people you love and the things you have collected over your lifetime. I think it was Billy Conway who likened his bed to a lighthouse. It was like his nest, the thing he focused on making it back to, just like a bird might. Every night when he climbed into bed, he was drawn to his bed, as if it was a lighthouse, to the prize, white sheets, a book waiting where he'd left it the night before, surrounded by family photos. The last thing you'd want to bring to that peaceful scenario is the troubles from your salon. Keep business strictly out of your pillow talk. Family members need to be team members, not family members, during working hours. It can be tricky to separate the two. A salon owner, someone that I coached, recently told me his wife was meant to be doing a particular task at the salon, something that he really needed to have done. When it wasn't done, I quizzed him about it. He replied that his wife gets bogged down with dropping off and picking up the kids. Note, the kids were 14 and 16 years of age, so no one needed a nappy change, just be clear about that. I asked him if his wife was on a normal hourly rate like the rest of the team, would he be happy that she was running her children everywhere on salon time? He said, if not for the fact that they were his kids, I'd effing sack her, was his response. We both roared laughing. But he knew what needed to be done. You can tell her, he said. I've had my head bitten off more than once for mentioning it. So how hard can it be? The truth is, the way we show up is everything. That isn't any way to run a business. If she worked for anyone else, she'd get those kids into a carpool or insist they walk or ride their bikes to and from school. My twins were always trying to get me to collect them from soccer training. They'd say, "You're the boss. Can't you just leave, Mum? Come and pick us up." My answer was always the same. "You're young, you're fit, you're healthy, with 2 good legs. Walk home. I've got a job to do, and it's important to me that I lead by example. And when you get home, don't leave the toaster on the bench either." Bit of a hard ass I was. It's all about respect. All businesses need a good sense of balance. You need to rely on, you trust and respect those you work with, and family is no different. I notice that family members working together in salons often speak poorly to one another. You would never speak to paid team members that harshly, so don't speak to family that way. Everyone deserves the same respect. Employees, employers, bloody family, or work family, it's all the same. And breaking up is hard to do. Most businesses start off like it's a marriage. Everyone's excited and everyone gets carried away with this idea. Then, nobody's given any thought to how the business will end. Will it be sold? Will someone want to move on and another want to stay? Like any relationship, it's way more fun going in than it is coming out. That's probably the biggest understatement ever. It can be so painful coming out that you swear you'll never do it again, ever. Most end up with a severe case of the double Bs, burnt and bitter. I think there's a t-shirt that people could wear so that they don't have to guess. It's got a big BB on the front for burnt and bitter, not big boobs. In a business, especially in a salon, it's not until death do we part. Eventually, it has to be sold, shut down, or passed on to someone else. Try passing down a marriage to someone when you die. In business, most of the parting is done long before death. It's something you need to consider because in a family business, it's way more complicated. The passing on or passing over, or whatever you call it, is where a lot of trouble starts. I think it's because family members naturally assume they're going to get the business handed to them. Sometimes it's parents assuming their children actually want the business. What this needs is some open communication so everybody knows where they stand. Gather the family troops around without any distractions and have a serious discussion. Give everyone 5 minutes uninterrupted to have their say. Make the topic, "In 5 years I want to be ... or adjust it to suit where your family is at. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 12 months. Together, you can stop assuming and start talking and planning for the future. A future that works for everyone. I see an amazing level of assumption going on in family businesses. Often I'm asked as the business coach to be the one who asks the hard questions and gets the conversations happening. We all want a voice, but it can be hard to find a place to be heard when family dynamics merge into the workplace. It becomes even more complicated when there are more than 2 family members working in a business. What happens when one family member wants to sell their share or go do something else with their career, and another one wants to stay? You can imagine how uncomfortable those conversations are. I suggest you have an agreement that every 12 months, on the anniversary of when you open the door, you all sit down together and agree on a plan for the next 12 months, putting in place any necessary conditions or expectations. That way, everyone has an opportunity to have their say. And if someone doesn't want to stay, they have a chance to say no. I love working with families. They're challenging because they are so many levels. There is so many layers. What's refreshing is that they're always grateful for a fresh set of eyes. It's one of my biggest challenges as a business coach, yet one of the most rewarding and satisfying when things are resolved and people feel heard, respected, and more certain about their future. The nitty-gritty. Be warned, working with family is tricky. Think carefully if they're the best fit for your salon. Set clear boundaries. Strive for mutual respect. Open lines of communication. Plan for a way out in the future. I hope you enjoyed that conversation and had a laugh along the way. If you want some more information on what was just discussed, or even just to connect with me, just check out the links in the show notes. Also, it would mean the world to me if you would like and share this podcast so that we can continue to grow together. I'll see you all next week.